Hey, what's up, everyone? This is kind of a special demo because this is for one of my own sabers. I don't usually do these too often, but super excited about this one. This was something that I've been working on for a couple weeks. The base hilt is a Subversion, and this is from Ignition Saber Company, who teamed up with Gary Morris. So that's TJ Wells over there at Ignition and Gary Morris. All right, they came together and built this saber. When you get it, it's just a raw aluminum kit, an empty crystal chamber. What I did was I went through and I etched it in an Aliens theme. I'm a huge Predator and Aliens fan. I've got back here, I've got a Predator flagship that Carl Danby over at Vaults of Valhalla did for me a long time ago, and then right above that is an Aliens lamp, and I'll try to put a close-up picture of that right now. All right. So on that, I've got that face hugger that's in the canister, and I thought, man, that'd be super cool if I could do a crystal chamber that had the face hugger in it. And it was a chore. I made 5 different face huggers through just clear resin on my printer. Every time I do it, I'd come up with it, it'd be cloudy, it'd be hard to see, kind of like this. You're not going to be able to see that face hugger in there very well. I printed the face hugger. I got that STL off of Thingiverse. There's a really nice one on there, actually. So I got that one, dropped it down to about 30% for the size, scaled it down, printed it. It was the perfect size, but I just couldn't get the clearness right. So I tried this one. I tried about 3 different iterations of this, and then Tim over at Tirafon Orbital sent me a link to Amazon for some clear epoxy resin and said, hey, try this. I think it might work. And so I ordered some. It came in yesterday. I stayed up super late, and I made 2 of these, actually. I made this one right here, which came out nice, and then I made one more, which obviously I put in the saber. The only difference between this one and the one in my hand was I made this one big enough to where I was going to break off the resin and just have the epoxy canister, and then I was going to wet sand it and try to make it clear and everything like that. But then I just made one the size of the crystal chamber. I left the clear resin canister that I printed on it. It's got that face hugger in it, if you can see that right there. And then when it all cured this morning, I went through and I sprayed it down with like a 4K clear coat, and it made it look really cool. All right, so this is installed with a Proffie. It's got stock V3s in here for the NeoPixel connector. What else did I do? 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker. This is a removable battery setup, but the one thing about this saber that is a little unique, right, is every time you want to get to the battery, you have to take off these 2 screws. You have to take off the pommel. You have to slide the shroud off, and then you can get to your battery and your board. That was quite a bit that I didn't want to do every time, right? Because Proffie doesn't have a deep sleep mode. So Benji was kicking around. My buddy Benji over at Nerf Herder Customs has been kicking around the idea for a while of putting an external kill key or kill switch on a saber. So I reached out to him, asked him if I could steal that idea, and I wanted to implement it on this, and that's what I did here. I put this kill switch right here, so I can flip this saber on and off without ever having to remove this shroud. What I did with the actual saber is I etched it in an Aliens theme. I sent this off to my buddy Pete over at Bad Batch Etching so that he could weather it and powder coat it for me. And then it got sent back, and then I did some other modifications as well, right? So we'll go ahead this time and I'll take off everything to show you what I did. First, you just want to unscrew the pommel. So we'll take the pommel off. Don't want to drop it. There's your speaker right there. Come back over here and take these 2 screws out. So we'll do that real quick too. Whoops. Now I do have a piece of electrical tape over my board because I made a custom chassis. Now when you buy this saber, it comes with a chassis, and the chassis is really good. There's not a whole lot of room in this handle. Here, I got those 2 screws off. You can just pull the sleeve straight back. All right, so on one side you've got the Proffie board right there. On the other side is a removable battery. So if I were to come over here, take my battery out, you can see my removable battery slot. But one thing I wanted to do on this saber was I wanted to drill some holes in the side. Let me put the battery back in. I wanted to drill some holes in the side. So I got 4 holes over here that I drilled. I've got 4 holes over here that I drilled because I wanted some extra LED blinkies on the side of the chassis, right? So when you get this saber, it comes with, it's printed very nicely and it's very nicely designed, but it's kind of an eco battery holder. It's got a shelf on here for a Proffie board that goes on the other side, and that kind of sits like that, but there wasn't a lot of room for wire management. So what I did was I just custom designed a one-piece chassis so my board could sit up very high, although you may not be able to see it from there, but there's a ton of wires going on underneath this board, right? I've got a 3 pixel accent over here in the chassis. I've got another 3 pixel accent over here. I've got the stock V3 in here. I've got a 2-button setup, so these 2 dome tactile switches. The top is the activation, bottom is the auxiliary. And I have a total of 10 NeoPixel LEDs shining this crystal, right? So I'm still playing around with colors. Some colors wash each other out because I'm running sub blades. 10 NeoPixel accents facing this crystal. So it gets a little crazy. And I'll keep ironing that out. But for now, I kind of like what's going on. There was so much work just to get to this point. So yeah, that's what it looks like when you take the shroud off. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the shroud back on. And now this is something I don't ever need to do. Now that I put that external kill switch on, I don't have to take the shroud off unless, it's finally time to charge my battery. All right, so it was a very cool idea that I got from my buddy Benji, and then I went to town on it. I wish I had the right tools to do it because I don't. I don't have the right tooling to machine a rectangular slot in a piece of aluminum. So what I did was in here, I had a 5/16 drill bit. I drilled 3 holes. I have some small hand files and about 2.5 hours of my time so to put that kill switch in there right there. I also had to highly modify the kill switch, file down all the corners. I dremeled and filed as much material off of the kill switch as I possibly could, all to get it to fit. So that was a little bit of a nefarious setup, but it does work, right? And I wasn't as concerned. I mean, of course, I always want it to look nice. I wasn't as concerned, though, because this is my saber. All right, so I turn this off. Everything is put back together. Whoops, we forgot the pummel cap. So we'll screw the pummel cap on. And yeah, we never have to mess with opening up this saber unless we got to charge the battery. All right, so come over here and just flip the kill key.
Lightsabers. She's a fair.
So I've got a few Kyberphonic fonts on here. You can see it's kind of washing out the face hugger on camera, but if you were to look at it in person, it's very easy to see. Come over here and hit power. The saber's super loud. Got my LEDs, like my broken circuitry LEDs going on over here and going on over here. I do have twist off. I've got maybe about 5 fonts on here. We'll throw a blade in this guy. This particular font is a Predator font. There aren't any alien fonts out there that I know of. They don't really make a lot of sound, so there's not a lot of material to go with. But the Predator one worked well. Right? So we'll throw this blade in. It is a pretty snug fit, but I'll go ahead and I'll lock it down anyway. 1-inch diameter NeoPixel blade on these Subversions. Oops, wrong Allen key. There we go. I wish you could see on camera the face hugger because all the light is washing it out, but in person it's very clear. I did post a few pictures on Facebook and my Instagram as well of them. Ignition redux.
Luke Skywalker.
LS6. This is one of my favorite fonts. Super loud. Piece of junk.
The garbage will do.
Very loud. Soundtrack. I'll do another one play soundtrack. This is also one of my favorites. But it has the Predator track. So. I think we might be back. I think this is the last one, and then we're back at the beginning. Very solid. Or if it was on, we could come over here, right here, and flip the kill switch. Turns everything off, right? And then you could kind of see it in there now, but it does show up well, all lit up in person. All right, and we'll go ahead and take the blade out. So yeah, there are a lot of these out there, and the cool thing about these sabers is everyone is doing something very different, right? I've seen a ton of them out in the wild now, and all the customizations. Every one of them looks different, right? And that's a cool thing about this guy. But anyway, that is what I decided to do with mine. I hope that you like it. I just wanted to show it off. Thanks for watching.